I'm about to take this hair in my head. I'm about to take this hair out my head. Hooey, I am really, really going through it. This is vulnerable. This is me being really, really vulnerable. Sitting up here sipping, smoking, and just trying to figure out why losing both of them hit me so hard. Because, I've lost partners before. Well, I don't want to use the word lost because they're not lost to me. I know where they are. We're still connected. I still feel their presence. But I've experienced physical separation in so many ways throughout my life, and I think it's hit me hard whether, my partners were taken from me via the prison system or they transitioned the physical realm. And though there are loves that I'm connected to, that I still feel connected to, thank you, God Goddess. A lot of the men who've been in my life since I embraced who I am, a lot of them are still present in my life. Um, I don't have the connection that I want to have with all of them, but we will still connect in some way. And I think what's hitting me the hardest from this loss they were the ones that I saw hope in. They were comfortable in their masculinity, or at least what we're conditioned to view as masculinity. They were comfortable resting in that energy, but they respected me. Like, they didn't look at me as inferior to them because I rest more in my femininity. And that's rare, because a lot of beings who identify with the construct of manhood and have penises, or even those who don't, because it's a whole nother dynamic with trans men that I'm not going to try to delve into in this video, because we're talking about my two partners who passed, and one passed this month on the same day as Cookie Tookie. It was around December the 3rd, the same exact day. And the one who was my husband at the time, and the ironic thing is that I ended my domestic partnership with Aaron, the Sagittarius, to marry Faisal, and now they're both gone. And so that's literally the connection. Like, I literally had to end one legal union to enter into the other legal union. And these were the ones that I saw hope in. Hope of being able to rest in your masculinity, but being able to truly see the divine feminine in all, and even in yourself, like learning how to be identify as man, or identify as a man, but learning how to honor and hold space for the fact that the divine feminine is in you as well. You are whole. You are your mother and your father. Like, these were the conversations that we were having. And my relationship with Aaron, who was Sagittarius, was very private. And I respected that, because he was my biggest test. No, I can't say he was my biggest test because Freisel was a test for a different reason. Freisel processed information um, very different than I did. He had experienced brain trauma. He was about 34 at the time. Um, and so he tested me in a different way. And um, Aaron, who was a Sagittarius, he was wrestling with substance abuse. But he still had a posture about himself. Like I'm not gonna glamorize it, but he still had a posture about himself. He didn't walk with his head held down. He didn't walk, with shame. Like he still exuded this confidence, and he didn't hide me from people. Like, I don't know if it was the substances, but he didn't hide me from his mother. He didn't hide me from his children. He didn't hide me from his siblings. And that I just wish we didn't live in a world where substances needed to come into play to feel comfortable living in your truth. Like, because he defended me to his family, and I didn't know this until he was getting ready to leave, because we talked about it in conversation, and then a few weeks later, his mama and his sister was calling me to tell me he was gone. And with Freisel, I didn't go to the funeral because it was a church funeral. It was a Catholic funeral. And I'm not upset because I didn't do that, because they say his grandma got up in Spanish and started praying for his soul. And I know I would have cut up in the air. But my daughter went and left flowers, in my name, in Layler's name. One of my close friends, Bradley, went and represented. And so I was definitely there in spirit. And I carry their memories, their legacy every day. They live on in me. I added them in the dedication of my book. Aaron wanted me to live in stealth. Aaron did not want me to be a part of the community. Aaron was like, Aaron the Sagittarius, the Gemini. I just had to be strong enough for him, and I wasn't always strong enough for him, and everybody saw that. He brought out a side of me that just gave 0 F's about society. I just wanted to be with him. However, it was like we was in our own world when we was together, but he hurt me so much. And I can't fault him because I allowed it, because I wasn't as strong as I should have been, but I felt like I was very strong, because nobody could have, I don't even think he would have lived as long as he lived if we would have never met each other. I think my season with him only prolonged what was gonna happen, because he got clean for me a couple of times. But it was that religion that kept messing everything up. It was all around him. And you know how that religion feel about people like me. And in the end, the Gemini grandmother at the funeral. Fricel grandmother, repent your life like it was wrong, because Fricel was whole. And I probably would have went to Aaron's funeral, but I wasn't invited, and I know why. Because they wanted to put him away how they wanted to put him away. And so I think I'm just kind of like grieving because this was hope. That I used to wear my tribal paint and I used to pray at my altar. I had boyfriends that used to get scared. Used to, I'm like, we sitting up here watching movies about gods and goddesses, white gods and goddesses. And y'all watching this with me with no problem. But then when I start walking in my divinity and embracing my divinity and wearing my ancestral paint and my tribal paint and burning candles, you scared now. You scared to see that melanin. You scared to see that melanin have some type of authority, some type of sovereignty, some type of autonomy. But we look at white Caucasian people do it, and hey, we praise it. But the moment somebody that look like this do it, it's voodoo, it's witchcraft, it's dark, it's demonic, it's satanic. And I only had 2 men in my life that understood it and then it run for me and wasn't ashamed of it. And drugs created by the patriarchy flooded into the communities. Drugs took them from me. And I'm not judging drugs because God got us know I had my fair share. But it consumed them because there's so much programming that go on with them. Like, and so many of them can't resist the programming, Yeah, the programming be real, like when, like the average dude, you could be on Facebook being real comfortable with your body, being free with your body, you know what I'm saying? Because you liberated, not because you looking for, sex, or you hungry for sex, or you just a lust demon or something like. No, you just free. You know what I'm saying? You just connecting with your body, connecting with yourself, and so you share content as liberated as you possibly can, as free as you possibly can, as autonomous as you possibly can. And when you're sharing those images, a lot of times you're sharing what Europeanized or westernized culture would say is sexually suggestive, especially if you got some melanin and some curves, because it always get iffy when you got melanin and you got curves. So it becomes sexually suggested, not liberated, not free, not autonomous, not sovereign. But as much content as I share like that, it'll still be dudes in my inbox talking about, can you send me a picture of this, picture of that? I got 1,000 pictures. I got thousands of pictures. And you talking about you want to pay. That's another thing that I loved about both of them. They wasn't like that. One of them didn't even care about a phone. The other one didn't care if the phone worked. He'd be on that thing playing video games. He wasn't talking to nobody. Playing video games. One of them used their phone to play video games, and the other one used their phone for nothing because they didn't even know where it was at. They didn't even care. You know how many frogs I had to kiss to get them? And both of them was dealing with a whole bunch of stuff. But that was the best. That was the most whole. That was the closest to wholeness. And still resting in their masculinity. And they didn't want to be here. And I knew another one I only had one brief encounter with. So I can't hold them up to this standard. But they was a Gemini too. They saw me too. They respected me too. It's like all of them is like, I don't know, do they be ascending? Are they going somewhere to help and they intercede? Like, what's going on? Do they be like, is it some type of revolution they have and they just chunk up the juices and they be like, I want to be whole in this world, but it ain't even worth being in this world? Like, what happens? Because I feel like they left me. I feel like they left me here. I couldn't do this live. This a lot. Um, I'm definitely stressing. I'm trying to pretend like I'm not, but I am. Because, this hair had too much oil and stuff in it. So now it's messing with my skin. I'm about to take this hair and put some more hair in. And I'm not going to have all that shit on it. I mean, all that stuff on it. It was nice. I appreciate the hairstyle, but it was a lot of grease and oil coming off. And with stress and grease and oil, it's not cute. It's not now. So yeah, I am a little tipsy. I have had something to drink, but it could be worse. I'm not above it. So we gonna thank God got us today. That I just had a half a pint and hit a joint and got on and recorded a video, to put out here to just tell my business, because uh, check on your people. I don't know if it's depression, because, through westernized culture, we're taught to see this as depression. But if we're looking at this from a whole perspective, this is the discomfort that comes from growth. Growth can be a trying time. It can be an uncomfortable time. And so looking at it through a westernized lens, it could appear to be depression. But for whole beings, it could be a season in which you are experiencing tremendous challenge, tremendous adversity, because you are in that transition, you're in that evolution stage, you're in that growth stage when we play the whole tape. Amen, amen. And don't just look at it through a westernized lens. And sometimes in those seasons, support needs to look different so that the flower or whatever it is that's growing doesn't dehydrate, doesn't become overheated by the sun or frozen by the winter. Like, we need to find a way to best preserve it during those challenging seasons. Cause if you're not prepared for the season, it could take you out. And that's just what it is. Anyway, oh my goodness. And if you are prepared for the season, you might decide you won't chuck up the deuces. Displaying the whole tape. You could be prepared to experience a different season. And so you chuck up the deuces. That too. I feel better. I'm in a different space now. I'm glad I shared. Damananasi Kua keep spinning and turning in Gani Yanko Kalukalo, which means I'm a child of God. Goddess, if I am, you know you are. Bound and round, both circle and square. We too speak life, so operations beware. Sending healing to those in despair about both, which means we come in peace, no harm to any. Laylim Laylar. I love y'all. Take care of yourself. Laylim Laylar Nation. Purple ones rise.